Welcome back, folks, to our playthrough of the Firefly board game of the solo campaign, Awful, Lonely, and the Big Black. We're going to get started. We did all the components and setup last week, or last episode, over the last 2 or 3 days while I was filming. Yeah, I've still got a cold, and I'm pretty doped up on Dayquil right now, so this should be pretty interesting. Let's see if I can get the words out of my mouth. All right, we're going to start off. We are here in Londinium, and just to start off, we have already made an error. We start here in Londinium. This is where I chose to put the Serenity. And the problem is, I have chosen to start in the same space as the Alliance cruiser. And that is a problem, because anytime that you are in a space with the Alliance cruiser, you have to resolve an Alliance cruiser encounter. Normally to do that, you would pay fines. You pay $1,000 for every warrant that you have for your arrest. Well, game's just starting. We don't have any warrants for our arrest, so we don't have to pay any money there. Next up, all the contraband and all the fugitives on your ship get confiscated. Well, we don't have any kind of cargo whatsoever, so there are no fugitives, no contraband on my ship, no problems there. However, at that point, you have to roll for wanted members of your crew. And we happen to have 2. Our medic, the interrogator, and Zoe. I didn't particularly notice, if you look right down there at the bottom of their card, right next to their fees, their cost, you'll see that little symbol. That little symbol means that they are wanted by the Alliance. They are wanted people. So we have got to roll dice to make sure that they are not captured. So what we do is you get the dice and you roll them, and if you get a 2 through a 6, the person is okay. They managed to evade the Alliance inspection of the ship. They managed to stay hidden, keep their back turned, use forged papers, whatever it took to keep them from getting caught. If you roll a 1, they are caught, they are arrested, taken into the cruiser, and they are removed from the game. So, let's hope that doesn't happen here. First, we're going to roll for the interrogator, our medic. Let us get the dice out here. And we rolled a 2. Whew. All right, he has made it past the Alliance patrol, and fortunately is not going to get arrested. Now Zoe, this is the important one. And she got a 6, so we are okay with that too. So this didn't turn out as bad as we thought. I don't know why I went to Londinium, because yeah, I wanted to get the mission from Harkin, but we were already going to draw a mission from Harkin. We didn't actually have to be on his space to get it, so actually going there was kind of silly. All right, we'll put both of these back over here in the crew quarters. They both managed to escape, which is very, very good. This also allows me to point out this. Y'all notice this came up. This is a 6. It's a picture of the Firefly class. The game here uses what's called exploding dice, which means when you roll the dice, if a 6 comes up, you keep that 6 and you roll it again. And this time we got another 6. So now we've got a 12 and we roll it again. And we got a 1, so that dice roll turned into a 13. That way you always have a chance to do stuff. You know, you may have a roll that says you need to roll an 8 or higher on 1 die to get something. Well, if you don't have any pilot skill, captain's tech skill, whatever may happen to add in, it's impossible to get because all you can roll is a 6. Well, it's not impossible. You've always got a chance. And they call this thrilling heroics. When you roll a 6, it means you've accomplished some thrilling heroics. And you keep adding to it as long as you keep rolling 6s. Like there, we rolled 2 in a row, so we ended up with a 13 score. So we could have aced any kind of mission. So, fortunately, Zoe and the interrogator are both going to be left on our ship, which is very, very good for us. In this case, as I said, thrilling heroics, basically what you have to imagine in your mind is a typical episode of Firefly. They're coming. The interrogator just managed to hide inside of a box or something like that, but she rolled a 13 on needing a higher than a 1, and she rolled a 13, which means thrilling heroics jumped in, which means that Zoe was climbing around on the outside of the ship in a spacesuit and happened to climb back in through the engine exhaust nacelles and had was hiding in the landing gear spaces and being pulled in with it, or perhaps was being drugged behind the ship on a sky hook. Some sort of thrilling heroics is what that dice happened to do. So you can picture for yourself. I like the being drugged behind the ship on a sky hook myself. I like to think of that she was in a spacesuit and basically doing a little space surfing there to avoid the Alliance finding her. Up next, we are going to move. We are going to get the hell out of this space with the Alliance cruiser. So we are going to turn around. Our first mission, of course, we're going to do the laborer transport. And we need to pick up 2 passengers from Bellerophon. So what we need to do there is move that. There are no special needs. So what we are going to do, we are going to do a full burn. If we mosey, you can do the mosey and it's perfectly safe movement, and we would just go 1 space like that. Whoops, nope. Before we do that, I got to remember, I'm thinking about multiplayer rules and solo rules. Multiplayer rules, you can do 2 actions. And the actions are, you can buy, which means you go over here to, if you happen to be on a place where you can buy something, you can buy goods. Next up means you can work, which if you've got a card that has either a pickup or delivery on the space you're at, you can work that card. The next thing is you can deal, which means if you're in the same spot as a fellow captain, if you're in the same spot in the verse as a fellow player, the 2 of y'all can make deals. You could trade crew, you could trade items, cargo, whatever you wanted to do. Or if you're on a spot with one of the employers over here, you can take a look at what they have for a deal. And the 4th action you can do is fly. In the multiplayer game, you can do any 2 of those actions during your turn, but you cannot do the same thing twice. You couldn't fly twice as part of your turn. You couldn't deal twice as part of your turn. You have to do 1 and then another one. In the solo game here, you do all 4 of them if you're capable of, ending on flying. Whenever you finally fly for the turn, you take away 1 of the disgruntled tokens. You count down the game turn by 1. So, first up, what we're going to do, we can't work any of our missions, any of the mission cards we have. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little dealing. We're going to come over here and talk to Harkin. And anytime you want to deal, he doesn't have anything in his discard, so we don't have anything to look there. So we can draw 3 cards off the top of his deck here. And we will draw them out and lay them out. And see what we have. So maybe starting here with the cruiser was a good idea after all. Looking over the missions, the various contracts that Harkin is offering here, I'm saying it definitely looks like it was a good thing in the long run that we picked it up. Here we have over here, the original one I was picking up from him was to go to Bellerophon and then down to Albion, which is up here. We're here at Londinium, we go to Bellerophon, and then we would go all the way down here to Albion. And once we went to Albion, then we would have to come back over here to Sinon to pick up the mission Badger was giving us, and then take it to Georgia. We're going to keep that one. That was the Making the Love connection down here. But I think what we are going to do instead is we are going to pick up the fuel run. It pays 900, which our original pays 700. It pays 900. There's another one that pays 900, and that's the forced settler relocation. And part of it is, number one, we would have to go over to Valentine down here at the bottom of the map. But the other part is it's immoral. It's not illegal. It's totally legal. It's the Alliance is taking a bunch of people and moving them, forcing them to from Valentine over to Anson's son, against their will. But it is immoral. And just taking a quick glance of the 5 people that I have over here, my 5-man crew, 4 of them would get disgruntled markers because they all have that moral box you see there. So we're definitely going to skip out on that one. Instead, we're going to take the fuel run to Silverhold. One of the advantages of it is that we pick it up in Londinium, where we already are. So we can go ahead and work this deal, load up the 8 fuel, and then we have to deliver it, from right up there, have to deliver it down here to Silverhold. And there's no missions we can pick up here, but Silverhold does have the store over here, of course, and we've got Jane sitting there. We might pick up Jane, being that we still have room here for one more person in our crew. So I think that's what we are going to do. I'm not going to ditch the labor transport right now, but I'm going to put the other 2, put the forced settler relocation and the emergency medical transport back into Harkin's discard stack, and we'll keep our hand on the fuel run. All right, so we've decided to take on Harkin's job. It is the last one down here. So you see the fuel run to Silverhold. And just to point out, in a multiplayer game, you'd have your cards down here just like this. They'd be laying there face down. And whenever one goes active, now that we've taken it active, we declare we're working it, we set it right here. Flip it over. And once a job goes active, once you flipped it over and you're working that job, you can no longer discard it. The only way you can get rid of it will be to fail it. And we definitely don't want to fail any jobs here. So that's working there. Now these 2, we could still discard those. If we get a better job, in one of these stacks over here and decide, we can still get rid of those. But this one is now officially a job of ours. We're no longer considering it, and we have to work it. So we're going to work it. We're here at Londinium, of course. That's where we're starting, and we've got 8 fuel. So we're going to load up these 8 fuel at Londinium. In this case, because it is cargo that we're being required to deliver, it's a pick up and deliver, so it doesn't actually cost us anything, because we're not having to buy it, because it is actually the cargo that we're having. And as you see here, as I get them all off, we're loading them over here to the cargo holds. And now we have filled up our entire cargo hold with the 8 extra fuel, the 6 that we started with, and the 2 spare parts. Now, if along the way, let's say we had to do a bunch of jinking and jiving and getting away from things and burned into the fuel, we would need to go somewhere and buy another fuel to make that 8 if we were to start eating into it. So that's why it's important. It's important to know that you don't always have to deliver the stuff. I mean, we never have to finish this mission. We don't have to deliver this fuel. We could just use it. But if we did, we would never actually complete this mission here. So that would be a problem. Same kind of thing if you were to get cargo. If you were to be loaded up with cargo to do a mission, and then you found someone else later on the map who wanted to pay you more for that cargo, you could use that cargo for them instead. And they're, either never complete or fail this mission over here. And failing missions is not always the optimum choice, of course, because one thing, if you're solid with the person, it can take you unsolid with the person and give you a bad rep. Okay, so now at this point we have done the dealing phase where we got the mission to run the fuel run to Silverhold. We worked a job, which is loading up the fuel, so we've done those 2. There's nothing to buy here. Nothing to buy here. If we were solid with Harkin, you see that $100 barrel there, we could buy fuel from him if we needed to, we wanted to. But first we'd have to get solid with him, and we're not there yet. So we don't have anything buying to do, so now we are going to fly. And one of the first step for flying that I'm going to do is take away a disgruntled token. This right here lets us know that the first turn is now ending with this flying mission. The flying action, sorry. So at this point, we got to figure out what we're going to do. We are headed down here to Silverhold, and Silverhold is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 spaces. So our engine allows us to do 5 spaces theoretically with a full burn. So we're going to go full burn. We are going to get rid of a fuel. You have to burn a fuel every time you do a full burn. And we are going to try now to move 5 spaces. So we will move the first one here. We will move into this sector. And what you do every time you move into a sector, like here in Alliance space, you go over here and you draw a card off the top of the deck. And it tells you what happens in that sector. So in the first sector here, come on, get down there. There we go. The first sector we come to is the big black. So we just keep flying, no effect. We don't run into anything. We don't have any problems. Next sector, we're going to go there. The next Alliance space card is a cruiser patrol. It says player to your right must move the Alliance cruiser 1 sector within Alliance space, and then you keep flying. Well, in this case, we don't have a player, so what we do is we simply get the cruiser and we move the cruiser 1 space toward us. So it is like following along behind us. It may be trying to, maybe it's wanting to see where we go. It's wanting to monitor our actions. Maybe it thinks we're going to lead it to a bigger crime or something like that. So it's following us. Of course, it's a little bit harder to get away with tailing someone in this game than it is in, let's say, a TV detective show, perhaps. Okay, so that's 2 down. Let's move our 3rd space in the full burn here. We're still in Alliance space. And it is a big black keep flying. We're going to move our 4th space now, right there. We are now in the border space. As you see, we've crossed into this yellowish reddish color. So now we take a card off of the border space. Uh-oh. Reavers on the hunt. Player to the right must move the Reaver cutter 1 sector, and then we get to keep flying, as you see. So now the Reaver cutter is going to move 1 space, and you always move it toward us in the solo game. So it is going to move here. You never go diagonally. You never cross a corner, so it's going to move that way. And the Reaver only moves, as you see, only moves within border space. At least in this. That may change in some of the expansions, but in the core game, it stays in the border space. So the Reavers are on the hunt. Final and last space, we're going to move into Silverhold. 1 more border space card, and it's another Reavers on the hunt. So the Reavers are going to move another space. Scary, scary Reavers. Okay, but we have arrived at Silverhold now. That has got our first turn out of the way. So we have arrived at Silverhold, and we can go ahead, and the first step I will do will be to work it again. Now that we're in Silverhold, we're going to work the mission and deliver those 8 fuel. So we will come over here. We will take the 8 fuel off. There we go. The 8 fuel is now off. So we've delivered our cargo, and we are going to get paid 900 credits. So we will go ahead and do that right now. Now, before we actually take those 900 credits, we're going to look over here at our crew. And as you see, our crew always expects to get paid after a mission. They're always required to get paid or take a disgruntled. And we have 3, 6, 9, 1,000. So we are getting 900 for the actual mission, but we are going to have to burn 1,000. So we are going to end up getting only 100 for that mission. So we'll go ahead and pull it out. And that's how much we netted for that mission. $100, 100 credits is all we got paid for that after paying our crew. And you could say that we didn't even earn that because we did burn a fuel, and fuel cost 100 each. So basically, that mission caused us to break even. But the important part is that we have become solid with Harken. When you finish a job for a patron, you become solid with them, as Niska would say. You are no longer a rumor. So at that point, you take their card and you tuck it back up here above the cargo hold, and it shows that now we are solid with Harken. And the advantages of being solid with Harken is that, excuse me, anytime you're at the Alliance Cruiser, you can buy fuel for 100 a unit, and plus it says your papers are in order. When solid with Harken, you may ignore the Customs Inspection nav card. So anytime we draw Customs Inspection out of the Blue Alliance deck now, we can ignore it since we're solid with Harken. All right, so that's the first one down. We have got 4 more to get solid with. And next time, we are going to go shopping over at Silverhold next time. So we'll see you then. And we'll see whether we get our hands on Jane, whether something nicer comes up, and then we'll decide what we do for our next mission. So thanks for coming along, and keep flying.